the softball question of the night, which is the first question, right? Is life better today than it was 3.5 years ago? The softball question from those terrible moderators to her, she couldn't answer.
Once we saw how the debate started, I figured there was no way they were going to ask Kamala, for example, how she brags about being the last person in the room for the Afghanistan withdrawal. So there were a number of questions like that. We all saw how they just did not talk about Trump's assassination attempt. And on the issue of Roe, they would say, you're talking about reinstituting Roe. I want to understand how that works. Does that mean you're going to pack the court? How do you, as an executive, do that?
All right, a lot to break down today. The panel's here. We're excited to get into it all. 54 days to go. I don't know what I'm going to do the day after. I'm already getting a little anxious about what I'll do on day 55, 56, but hopefully we won't have to be waiting around too long. But the way Pennsylvania's got us geared up, who knows? Anyway, the debate fallout continues. Who won? Who lost? Will there be a second? Well, luckily, we've got a great panel for you today. We're going to go all the way through all those issues. And does anyone care what Taylor Swift says? I don't. But it'll be interesting to see what the panel thinks on this, because there is a little bit of effect that we can actually see in terms of people voting, but I want to get their take on this. Before I do that, obviously, you guys know there are big consequences of elections. One of them is when Democrats are in charge, what do? They hire more people in the government. Specifically, in this case, they hired more people at the IRS. There are now 50,000 more IRS agents. What are those IRS agents doing? They're coming after us. They want our money. And these guys are relentless. They're like the DOJ of money. They'll come after us. They'll turn over everything they can to go through your life, 5,000, 5 million. It doesn't matter. They want it. Personal business. If you get what they call a pay up letter, they knock on your door. Who cares? Do not try to take on the IRS by yourselves. Talk to a tax professional. Talk to a lawyer. I think the best in the business are the folks from Tax Network USA. Go to tnusa.com/Spicer. Sean Spicer. You got to use the full name because this is serious business. So full name, tnusa.com/Sean Spicer, or call them 1-800-245-6000. Get the professional help and the expertise that Tax Network USA offers. All right. As I said, a lot to break down with the panel. I want to know about the debate. I want to know what they think, the consequences, what the highlights were, the fact-checking, the moderators. We're going to cover it all. Plus the House Representatives. I know we've seen this movie before, but they're going to run out of money. The government funding comes up soon, right? And the Speaker Johnson is trying to get House Republicans coalesced around a strategy to pass a continuing resolution. How long? What's in it? How much money? What increases? It's not going well. No shock here, but we have a few more days. What should they do? What hill should they die on, if any, or should they just punt it and try to get past the election? I'll have the panel weigh on that. All right. Jessica Anderson, you know, from the Sentinel Action Fund. They are out there doing amazing work trying to put Senate races in the Republican column. She's the former executive director of Heritage Action. Marc Lotter with America First. And we're going to be joined by Arynne Wexler. She is the non-lib take on Instagram. Always got a hot take, and we'll be interested in getting that. All right, guys, welcome to the show. Mark, Jessica, I want to start with you guys. We'll bring in Arynne in just a minute. Let's start with the debate, because that's what everybody is talking about. I know I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but it continues to be the subject of everyone's conversation. Here's where I want to start the conversation, Jessica. I think that if you liked Trump, I said this yesterday. I think there were some missed opportunities that I think he should have taken, specifically bringing up her record earlier and hammering that. But it wasn't a bad debate. He did what he needed to do. Yes, were there some missed opportunities? Sure. I don't think she had a great debate. And I think the stories that we're seeing from the left-wing media, from the New York Times, Reuters, say that these undecided voters, the ones that didn't go into the debate knowing who they're going to vote for, still haven't made up their mind. I think that's the real story. She didn't give them a reason to vote for her.
I agree with you, Sean. I think if you have been supportive of President Trump from the beginning, followed his work, certainly benefited from his leadership as president of the United States, you actually know how you're going to vote already. You know that life was better under President Trump, that you were more safe, that life was more affordable, that you could, not worry about your kids going to school and getting shot, or how you're going to pay for your gas or groceries. None of that was really the conversation, which I actually think speaks more poorly to her. she actually couldn't present a plan to turn the country around because her plan is more of the same of the last 3.5 years. So it was shocking to me that the most simple, the softball question of the night, which is the first question, right? Is life better today than it was 3.5 years ago? The softball question from those terrible moderators to her, she couldn't answer. She couldn't answer. She just immediately got off the subject. And because she can't actually say, no, life is better today than it was 3.5 years ago, because it's not. It's more expensive. It's more dangerous. We have more foreign policy concerns, and she knows that. So that was my biggest takeaway. I mean, I think we could spend a lot of time talking about the trash that was the moderators. I hated that there wasn't an audience. I know that people kind of like that for Trump, but I love him with an audience. I think he's better when he can feel the room and the energy. We were screaming at the TV at home. I wish I was in the room to be in real life. So, there's comments like that, but the loser of the debate was Kamala Harris for sure.
Mark, what was the scuttle among people? I mean, you and I, we've worked for President Trump. We're on the. I mean, I feel like, and I said this yesterday, I feel like I'm on the team, right? And you can objectively say sometimes hey, I love my team. I want them to win, but I didn't play the best game. And I feel like, to Jessica's point, right off that question, that first question that Donald Trump got, right? I was like, dude, just say that was the ball was on the tee. Just say, you know what? She didn't want to answer the question because it's exactly what Jessica said, because your life's not better. But guess what? It was under me, and I can make it great again. That's the tagline. I will make America great again. I was like, dude, hit the ball off the tee.
Yeah, and I think that's the point that we've seen now in the Reuters panel, in the New York Times quotes, and really the Fox News dial groups that I saw are really remarkable, with the Republican and independent lines moving almost identical in tandem. When he was speaking, they were positive, and when she was speaking, they were largely negative. I don't think, and the reason why she had to call for a second debate right then and there, is I think she realized, to use the Olympic phrase, she didn't stick the landing. I mean, everyone knows Donald Trump. And they also, even if they don't like him, they know things were more affordable, border was more secure. But maybe they were giving her a chance because she's the new candidate, or because I don't like his tone or his tweets. So let's see what she can do. And she failed to deliver. And so since she can't tell you how she's going to make things more affordable, how she's going to seal the border, that's why you saw 6 of the 10 in the Reuters panel go to Trump, 3 of 10 going to Harris. That's a devastating number, and I think it's going to continue to play out. And so when I woke up Wednesday morning, we all thought missed opportunities, took the bait, whatever. And as those time was going, we were seeing those dial groups, we were seeing those focus panels. We were like, wait a minute, he actually won with the people he was supposed to win with.
Right. And that's the thing, is the debate is 2 sides, right? You've got to do well in your opponent. I mean, that was the thing. I said this to him the other night, that he didn't get credit for how he did against Biden. Everyone focused on Biden sucking, not how well he did against Biden. Arynne, your Instagram is non-lib take. So what was the non-lib take for you of the debate?
My non-lib take on that is, I actually just don't think it matters. I know we talk about it being a wash. I know there are polls that are saying that maybe Trump won, even though I was one of those people who felt that it was certainly a missed opportunity to really call Kamala out and point out how ridiculous the entire situation was. But at the end of the day, we are so many news cycles away from people voting and this election that people's memories are incredibly short. We watched an attempted assassination attempt where only a few days later, the news cycle was on something totally different, and it was questioning his ear and everything like that. So does any of this really matter? I enjoy slicing and dicing the entire thing and reading all the questions that those so-called moderators were asking the candidates, but it also just doesn't matter. And if anything, I think it just really exposed ABC and mainstream media to maybe people who aren't as aware of how biased these news stations really are. But besides that, we need Trump to have great moments for the next few weeks. We need Kamala to get in front of more cameras, to continue to just be herself so people can see who she is. And I think that's really all that matters.
I'm thinking about what you said, combining it with Mark, right? And maybe I just have too much faith in voters. But I think about what Mark was saying, right? And it's at the end of the day, I go, you know what? I know what he said. I know what she said. But things aren't going well right now, and they were under Trump. And so I don't need an ad. I don't need a debate. I know instinctively in my gut that my life was better, we were safer. And I know what the media is trying to tell me, but I'm not an idiot. And I know, and I think that there's a degree of faith I have in in Americans right now to be like, I know what the advertising says, but I'm going to stick with the product that I think was best for me and my family. And I think, Jessica, you guys are out there doing a lot of stuff in these battleground states. Is that what there's a disconnect, I think, who they're blaming, because I don't see it through the public polling that they're blaming the Senate candidates as much as they are the White House.
Yeah, I think with Trump too, there's always been a difference between style and substance. Like, this is not new for us. And I think the Senate candidates actually realize that. I do think the debate though matters in the context of these lower battle races, because look, early voting starts in some parts of Pennsylvania on Monday. So this is not like we have the ability to sit on our hands like we may have been able to put all of our apples around Election Day in years past. Early voting starts Monday in Pennsylvania, which is a battleground state for both the president and for our Senate GOP majority hopefuls. So I think we need to be prepared that voters are going to start making decisions before and if there is even a second debate, and certainly before the Senate debates are in full steam. So our election laws are messed up, but we've got to, I think, utilize the rules as they exist now, and we can't just like let them fly by, but we have to turn out voters. What was interesting to me though, Sean, is you talk about the type of voter that tunes into a debate like that, and it's not the voters that Trump and the Senate candidates actually need to turn out. So the low propensity voter, the voter that has voted only one or two of the last 4 cycles, they're not watching a debate. They're answering the door. They're talking to folks in their community. They may see a text. They've turned their televisions on mute, but they're really more akin to, is their life better than it was today, than it was 3.5 years ago? Is my life more affordable? Is it more safe? They're thinking about cost of living. They're thinking about the border, and they're talking to their friends and family in their community. That's how they're making their decisions. And that's what I think the movement on the right has gotten better at this cycle of putting our people to, organize these communities, reach out to these low propensity voters, give them confidence in their vote, because they don't tune into a debate. They throw the mail piece away. They put their television on mute. You have to really talk to them at the door or in their community already to convince them that it's okay to show up and vote for President Trump, vote for the Senate hopefuls. So that's what I think we're going to start seeing in the next 7 weeks. And I think the opening.
So are you saying that the ground game is that is going to be the critical make or break, right? Is that what you want the takeaway to be?
My biggest takeaway for this election since January has been this race is going to be won top to bottom on low propensity voters. You look at the margins in the Nevada Senate last time. You look at the margins in the Montana Senate last time. You look at the margins, by the way, in Pennsylvania Senate last cycle. You've got low propensity voters that don't turn out. They only care about substance. They only care about the issues. They are the target audience to get to turn out. And by the way, Sean, they're already registered Republicans. So we don't have to go register them. They're registered. They're just sitting dormant on our lists, and they don't get the normal outreach because they're not on Twitter X. They're not on Truth Social. They're not on Instagram. You have to go to their door and talk to them. That's going to be the difference maker this cycle.
You guys, you brought up the second potential second debate. Philippe Reines, who played Trump for both Hillary and Kamala, by the way, said that Trump can't help himself. He'll want a second debate. So let me just kind of go around real quick. Mark, will there be a second debate?
No, I don't think there will be. I don't think Trump needs it. I think she desperately needs it. He knows he won that. Why open yourself up to mistakes? He can hold as many town halls as he wants. He'll get the same fix, probably a better one, because it will have a studio or an audience. I don't think there's any reason to do it.
Arynne?
I agree with that. I don't think he would do it. Although to that point on the audience, I mean, that was obviously what ABC did on purpose by having him in a vacuum, not having an audience, because Trump, to Jessica's point about connecting with people and it being about really the feelings and tapping into that more than the facts, that's what Donald Trump is so gifted at. And that was obviously taken away from him this week. And I did just want to make a point on that, which is, we love that phrase, Ben Shapiro's famous phrase, facts don't care about your feelings. I think this election cycle is really about how feelings don't care about the facts. So either you already love Trump or you hate him, and you kind of feel that way already, and it's really about mobilizing that base that's really sitting dormant. And I actually think that's probably what Trump did in the debate. I think he was not trying to go after that small percentage of people, trying to convince them over to his side. He was really rallying up the people who just need to get up from home and make sure they vote.
Jessica, what do you think? Is there going to be another debate?
I think if Harris continues to avoid the media, does not sit down for another interview, does not have a one-on-one interview, I actually think Trump is going to force her to the debate stage again, because she is allowed to just hide in a way that we haven't seen, I think, before, even with Biden in the basement, right? Even with all of that, Kamala is allowed to get away with her flip-flopping on issues, her lack of consistency, her lack of a policy agenda. She doesn't answer questions. And I think Trump is going to want to continue to pull that out. So I think it's actually a toss-up if he does it again, but he's going to do it not for his benefit. He knows where he's at with his voters. He's going to do it to try to smoke her out.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk that if this happens, it's going to happen on NBC. He was asked yesterday, he mentioned Fox, he mentioned NBC. I mean, I'm just going to say this from the jump. She's not going to, she's been hiding, as Jessica pointed out. She's not going to suddenly come out of hiding from talking to anybody and go on Fox News. It's not going to happen. I think
John,
if it happens
on your show.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I wanted to play this clip, but I thought it was a little, but you know when he did the interview on Fox News yesterday, Fox and Friends, and he says, they go, well, we sent a letter to both campaigns about these dates. You know, Brett and Martha. He goes, I don't want Martha and Brett. He goes, I love Sean. I thought, well, hey, this is him endorsing this show. I'll take it. I think there's another guy named Sean that's on Fox. I don't know. I'm having my team look into this, but I think he was talking about this show. I don't know. I'll reach out to Kamala's team and see if she's interested, because we could definitely put this on very easily. But this gets back to like kind of what you guys are talking about. When it was Biden, I get it. Trump was like, anytime, anywhere, all good. This guy's, I can run circles around him. I think that was smart. And the tactics smoked him out. But with Kamala, you're back to a normal candidate. And I think that Trump has to be careful this time, because Aaron's right. He plays better in an audience. They want the mics on. My view is negotiate, trade. Say, fine, we'll give you the mics on, but you have to have an audience. Like, don't you think that like this, if I were Trump going back to this, I'd say, fine, let's negotiate a bunch of the stuff, but I get my audience if you want your mics.
I'd also like to see it be done as a town hall if he has to do it, because I mean, she knows she's going to.
Do you really think she'd agree to a town hall, Mark?
Well, I mean, but it's better for the viewers. And I also think that's the scary part, because she knows David Muir and Lindsay aren't going to press her. They're going to run cover for her. But if you actually have unscripted questions coming from an audience, the cackle will probably come out if she gets nervous.
Oh, no. There is no way. None. Can we just all agree on this? There is none. She is. I thought you meant like the town hall, like I don't know what I thought, to be blunt. But I'm thinking, I now realize you're talking about her taking questions from actual people.
Like a town hall debate.
No way. I think if I cackled, that would give me a good cackle. That is so ridiculous. She can't do a basic interview, and you think she's going to do a town hall?
They haven't even staged that. They haven't even done that with actors, like a fake question, quick on the sidewalk. She hasn't even done that. But that's where Trump gets his confidence, right?
Wawa, Aaron. They had to tape the question to be like, all right, Doug, you give me the Doritos. Now, Tim, you give me the Doritos.
Exactly.
Who gave me the Doritos better? You think that she could actually interact with real people?
No.
And Trump excels at it, so he should demand it if there's going to be another one.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that. See, the thing that where I'm actually shocked that Trump's team hasn't is, instead of playing the game, I would sort of say, okay, here's what we agree to, and start negotiating on his terms. He keeps ending up on the backside. And I get why he did it with Biden, as I said. But with her, call her bluff. Go, all right, we want another debate. It needs to be on Fox on these dates. We should have an audience. We should do this. It should be town hall tomorrow. And make her start to claw it back and say, I won't do the following. But I feel like in the last two debates, he's been on the backside. He needs to art of the deal. Go reread it and say, like, hey, this is on my terms now.
Yeah. Well, look, Sean, I think the campaign knows those changes need to happen, and they're going to get more aggressive. They're just going to have to.
I hope so. All right, let me guys ask you this, because I'm being serious. I know we mocked it a little or I did. This Taylor Swift thing, right? So she goes out, endorses her. I thought the timing was bad because she could have had a standalone story today. If she had just said, like, I want to endorse her today or tomorrow, something, that it would have been all over the media. It got blended in. But that being said, there's like 338,000 people that voted or registered to vote because of her. All right, Jessica, I get that's low propensity. That's still, I mean, you think about what Georgia was 10,000, Arizona 20, PA, Pennsylvania was 80,000 last time and 40 before, Wisconsin 22. I wouldn't want those numbers.
Yeah, I think the Taylor Swift thing matters. I don't think we should ignore it. I think her timing, though, Sean, like, you're totally right. It was kind of washed, but I think that's just because her team thought to do it after the debate before the VMAs. Like, she was going to be on stage at the VMAs. She was up for like 10 something awards. Like, the cultural movement that she was going after was plugged in on her. She was at the Chiefs game. She was at some concert over the weekend. Like, she's been in that kind of like Gen Z cultural moment right now, these 10 days. So I think
subtext to what Jessica's saying is Sean goes to bed way too early and is not hip. That's what I'm hearing.
You got to stay plugged in to the young people, and the young people tell me that she speaks their language. And I also think she, like, the audience that she wants kind of doesn't really care about the political news. Like, this is a group of young voters, right? Like 18, 19, 20 years old. They weren't even alive for 9/11. So like 9/11 is right in the middle of that time period. And like, that's not even on their radar. So I think the timing worked actually in her advantage because of who she was trying to target and turn out. I think we should care about it.
With all due respect to her talent, and she's very talented and very successful.
Is she talented?
I don't know. I don't want to
Mark,
get the Swifties angry at me.
On?
But didn't she make her claim to fame by singing songs about making the wrong choice in men and people?
Yeah, I mean, that's the irony of all of this, for sure. Yeah, I'm not sure that she's actually talented, but she's definitely successful. And I think her reach is real. So, we shouldn't ignore it. We've also seen this stuff before, right? Rock the vote and the concept of using celebrities is all that the left has. They have their Hollywood starlets that they just turn out for the vote in the way that we have our issues. Like, that's the fight.
All right. Before I turn the page, I want to talk about another discussion. I do want to talk about someone that we can all probably agree is a good guy. That's Leo Grillo. He founded Delta Rescue. If you see the work that they're doing, I know animals came up a ton in the debate. There's a guy who unquestionably cares about animals. They rescue them. They provide them the nutritional care, the veterinarian support for abused, neglected animals. So for all the talk that we've had this week about people abusing animals, Leo Grillo and the work of Delta Rescue cannot go understated how amazing they are when it comes to this subject. They do amazing things. And if you go to deltarescue.org, you can check out all the stuff historically, some of the things and how it's grown, the size of the sanctuary. It's a no-kill sanctuary. Leo is so proud of that for the right reasons, because it's continued to grow so they can provide more support. As they've grown, as they've done this, though, they need our help. If you can go to deltarescue.org, you can continue to help Leo do such great work with abused and neglected animals. More importantly, if you're on the site, you make a contribution, which is awesome. Please consider going to the estate planning kit and seeing if your legacy can be part of the Delta Rescue mission and keep it as an enduring one for generations and decades to come. So please go to deltarescue.org, take a look, think about a contribution, and then think about downloading that estate planning kit and if it's right for you. Thanks for your consideration. All right, guys, I know this is kind of a hard turn, but one of the big issues of the debate was the subject of an abortion and when you can have one and can't. And that the Lindsay Davis from ABC got in on this and fact checked. Oh, this doesn't happen. There's no state. Well, I want to show you a video, and there's several of them that have now gone viral. I just chose one that I saw on Instagram, but I want to play this for everyone and show you what Trump was talking about.
Can I help you?
I'm looking to have an abortion.
How far along are you?
I'm 34 right now. My
boyfriend is kind of out of the picture now, so I don't really have any support.
It's a 4 to 5 day procedure. A needle is inserted through the abdomen and into the fetal heart. Lidocaine is injected, and that will completely numb the fetus. After that, we inject a medication called digoxin and another medication called KCL, which will slow and then stop the fetal heartbeat. And then we'll give you a medication called misoprostol. Misoprostol will sort of induce contraction, will assist you in sort of pushing in the induction, and then remove all of the products of conception. You're definitely going to feel discomfort and cramping, but we do give you fentanyl and Versed during the procedure. We specialize in later trimester care. Our doctor is very well versed in what he's doing, and he's very good.
So I'm not like a rare situation. Y'all help women this late in pregnancy all the time?
All the time.
So, Arynne, I mean, that's a Planned Parenthood clinic, and there's several of these that have gone viral with people calling in the 34th week. In fact, one girl said she was 32 weeks in one of the videos that I watched, and they said, we can't get you in for another 5 or 6 days. And she goes, okay, that would put me at 32, 33 if we did this or whatever it was. And they go, yeah, that's fine. So it can't be that rare, which is what they made the case. I think what upsets me is that this is a valid discussion to have. The left gets to stake out a position and has no accountability on the issue. And in the face of actual facts, there's one, that it exists, and it's according to that operator, not that rare, and yet we want to be told by ABC News in Kamala Harris that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, the videos that we've seen since that, the lack of fact checking in the debate have been absolutely horrific. And I knew it was happening, but thankfully have not had any friends who have done anything like that. So I didn't actually have any personal connection to that. And to see these videos and to realize this is really happening, you hear stories about these abortions where they basically induce labor and then deny care to the baby also, which is really something that I kind of wish Trump had really brought home during the debate. But what's really demoralizing to me, actually, not to make this, it's a very sad subject, so I think it's okay for us to be a little negative on the show, is how far so much of the American public is from caring about this issue and believing it, that I think the discussion and the debate especially really should have just focused on how Trump is not instituting a national abortion ban, because that is how most women, a lot of women, will be voting. We know that single women overwhelmingly vote Democrat, and that is the single issue that they're voting off of this election. So Kamala Harris lies. She lies on X. She lies on the campaign trail. She constantly says Donald Trump is taking away abortion. And I do think that at this point, we need to recognize as a movement that to bring women along and to bring people along who are okay with abortion, I don't personally think we're going to get them by even pointing this out, right? As horrific as it is, and saying this is a baby that can feel things and you're injecting something into its heart. I actually think we need to start with Donald Trump's not taking away your rights, and then try to walk them slowly over to seeing really, truly what is going on.
So, right, his goal was to show how extreme she was.
Yes.
And again, I just want people to understand, though, because there's two issues that I think are at hand. One is what you're pointing out, Arynne. How do we discuss this? How do we win more effectively on the issue? But then there's the reality of what happened at the debate, Jessica. I mean, there's a tweet that got put out. I want to show you this. I mean, 8 states actually have no limit, right? I think this was no limit on this. Tim Walz actually signed a bill into law in Minnesota that says after a baby is born, after a botched abortion, he changed the language. It used to say that a physician had to care for life. They changed it to say provide care, to water that down. But here's the kicker. ABC's own website, Lindsay Davis says it doesn't exist in any state. It's not legal. Their own website, abcnews.com, shows that Minnesota allows this. And Jessica, that's the thing, is that how we talk about the issue is, and I get Aaron's point, but it's also separate from the fact that these guys lied last night or whatever, Tuesday night, about the issue itself. And I think that hurts us with potential voters.
Yeah, I actually think what's going on here, Sean, is that Democrats, including the ABC moderators, they are pretending like this isn't happening. But the truth is they know it's happening and they're okay with it. They just can't say that they're okay with it because they will lose common sense voters that do support some form of an abortion restriction and not allowing it to go all the way. And when you look at the issue of Born Alive, right, we dealt with this in Congress with the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, which Senator Harris voted against. So in that process, she actually learned the ins and outs of what was happening. That was in the context of the former governor of Virginia and his comments on the radio program, which I know were quickly pushed out by the Trump campaign, as they should have been in that moment. But what's happening is the Democrats can't wrap their arms around this because it will hurt them with voters. So they're pretending like it's not happening, but they're really okay with it. And that's what I think we have to show, the extremism as much as we can and wherever we can, because they are the ones that are extreme, allowing late term abortions. And they are the ones that literally will allow a baby to sit on the table born after a botched abortion instead of bringing them back to life, which is sad.
And to make it even worse, one thing about Tim Walz, not only did he sign that bill, but they used to have to report to the State Department of Health the number of babies that were basically allowed to die after a botched abortion. I believe it was 8. And as opposed to changing the law to provide care, they changed the reporting requirements so they didn't have to see the number anymore.
That's a really good point that he's bringing up, because the second part of this argument is always, well, it doesn't happen. And, it's only happened like once or twice in the United States ever. And the truth is it's happening. It's just not being reported because of how the laws.
This is kind of like crime. They change the way you report things, and then they go, oh, it doesn't happen. It's just a way of washing your hands with it. I want to continue this, but before I do, I just got to we always have unexpected things happen. Obviously, we've seen a lot of that in politics, but one other thing that happens is we can lose power. That happens from time to time. I've had it happen to me. If you want to ensure that you'll be ready when the unexpected happens, get the Patriot Power Generator 2000X. Go to 4patriots.com/Spicer. The thing is, if you have a normal generator, you think you might be ready. You have to worry about gas. It has to get filled up every few hours. You have to run to the gas station. You have to hope that the credit card machine works so that it's not only open, but if we were ever hit by an electric grid hit, you never know. The Patriot Power Generator runs completely on solar panels. They come free with it. That's the cool thing about this. It powers the most powerful things in your house, your refrigerator, tablets, medical devices, completely portable. It can go in your house. You can bring it anywhere with you. I love that fact. I show it in my house all the time, but I know that I can bring it with me if a family member needed something. You are not going to want to be empty-handed during a time of emergency. You will regret this. It sells out all the time. So go order it right now. Go to 4patriots.com/Spicer. Get yours. Be ready in the event of an emergency that you can protect your family, your friends, yourself, all those key things. You're going to want this because you never know if it's going to be a day, a week, a month, or longer. Go to 4patriots.com/Spicer. All right. You brought up, Jessica, the Ralph Northam thing. I think it's important to remind people what he actually said, the former governor of Virginia, who is a doctor. Okay.
Yes.
This is what he said. And this is where I think the media is missing the boat, because it's not what Trump said. If you have a problem, it's what Ralph Northam, the former governor and doctor of Virginia, said. Let's play it for folks.
If a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother.
A discussion would ensue. We'll resuscitate it and then say, do you still want to keep it or not? That's called murder. And it may be in difficult conversation for the folks at ABC to have. But when she says it doesn't exist, and when Trump is merely quoting the governor, that's not a mistruth. That's not a lie. That's not misinformation. If Democrats have a problem, it's with the governor of Virginia, who's a doctor, not with Donald Trump.
Yeah, that moment, I think that radio moment that hit, just seeing it again, listening to it again, it just takes me back to all those feelings when that broke live, because I actually think that was a watershed moment in our American culture, especially pre-Dobbs, where you had a Democrat so forcefully embracing infanticide. And, they pretend like this doesn't happen. They lie about it, but it does. And this is a dark side of our society. So when we talk about the pro-life movement and the Republican Party being a culture of life and trying to communicate and educate for a culture of life, we got to get out of the 15 weeks versus 20 versus 24. Like, there's a place for that sort of technical conversation, but we have such a larger problem right now in our American culture that a comment like that is just, now he lost his election, of course, but a comment of like that is just allowed to like sit and it's okay and it's like acceptable is beyond me. So I'm glad President Trump is leaning into this issue. I think it's good for him to talk about it. I don't think he should shy away. I think he can do it in two ways: be clear of what we're for and be clear of what we're against. And those two things need to be front of center as voters make their decision. And I think the issue of life is still top of mind. I don't know that it'll be the difference maker for this election in the way it was in 2022. I think some of the heat has died down. But if you look back at the debate, Sean, it's the only thing that Harris actually cared about. She got like animated about the protection for abortion to literally kill babies in the womb. Like that's what she was most excited to talk about.
Arynne, was there an issue that you didn't think came up that you were surprised?
I mean, I'm not surprised, just in that once we saw how the debate started, I figured there was no way they were going to ask Kamala, for example, how she brags about being the last person in the room for the Afghanistan withdrawal. So there were a number of questions like that. I mean, we all saw how they just did not talk about Trump's assassination attempt and his response to that and the crowd. I mean, those are just such glaring issues to not bring up. But once we saw that it was a 3-against-1, I just threw my hands in the air watching this and thought, there's just, of course they're not going to ask that. But that's what I really would have wanted to see. And that's what a proper moderator would have actually brought up. And on the issue of Roe, they would say, you're talking about reinstituting Roe. I want to understand how that works. Does that mean you're going to pack the court? How do you,
oh my God,
executive,
packing the court? That was, that's another one.
Tell the people who want to vote for you, who want Roe reinstated, tell us, how will you accomplish that? Is it because you don't care about the balance of powers?
No, I love that. Packing the court. Mark, you guys at America First do all this like great policy work. And I don't want to give you my answer right away, but I feel like I just started ticking off issues, and Arynne just added for me, packing the court. That was a great one. Why didn't she talk about it? And I like the angle that you came at that from, Arynne, because it's like, not, do you support it or not? Well, are you going to utilize it? Or even like the stupid things like the filibuster. I think it's like, are you going to change things to get your will, and explain that to people so they understand it? Mark, what's an issue that you guys maybe saw at America First and say, I cannot believe this didn't come up?
Well, I think more, we got too into the weeds, obviously, with what was going on in Springfield, Ohio. I think immigration beyond just, you were against it. I mean, why didn't she get pressed on the fact that they took 94 executive actions in the first 100 days? They literally tried to blame him for killing a bill that the Speaker of the House said was dead on arrival before Trump. We said it was a horrible bill before Trump. They tried to blame it on him. So I thought immigration was something that should have been delved into more, and not just in terms of cats and dogs, but actually the real issues of immigration and how she's for it. Why won't they support the SAVE Act?
Yeah.
Do you actually
I want to talk about that. Yeah. But what about China? Did the word China actually
didn't come up?
Did national security? I mean, I said this yesterday, but we were the day before 9/11, and national security, the military, veterans, none of terrorism. I mean, what is this? But we did talk about January 6th, climate change, race. I mean, all we didn't talk about is like how awesome Kamala Harris was as a subject. It was horrible. But Mark, you nice segue there, because the House of Representatives is running out of, shocker, it's September, the fiscal year ends in a few days. We're facing another continuing resolution. Speaker Johnson can't figure it out what's going to get the votes to pass. A lot of Republicans want the SAVE Act. You just mentioned it, brought it up with this. The SAVE Act, guess what? Ensures that illegals can't vote. This should be a gimme. And the question I have, and I'll start with you, Jessica, because this is what is this the hill to die on? Should conservatives say, if we're going to pass a bill to keep the government funding, we get something out of this, and what we should get is an insurance that illegals can't vote? Is this the hill to die on?
This is the easiest vote the conservative House of Representatives can take this year. It's just the easiest vote. There really shouldn't be any second guessing of it. Attach the SAVE Act to the CR, send it to the Senate. The Senate's going to do what it's going to do. It's led by Democrats. Like, I'm so tired of, and Sean and Mark, I mean, we've lived this for over a decade now of making decisions in the House based on what the Senate's going to do. The House needs to do its business. It's ran by Speaker Johnson, who is a Republican, a solid Christian conservative. Put the SAVE Act on the bill, send it to the Senate. Let them strip it. Let them send it back. They're controlled by Democrats. Don't water down our bill in the first place before the debate has even begun. It's the easiest vote they can take. It's a no-brainer to me. We shouldn't even spend time talking about it because they just need to do it.
Arynne, you're outside the Beltway. So you're the voice of reason on this. Do people outside the Beltway, if we said, hey, we're not funding the government because Democrats won't buy into this idea of stopping illegals, and of course their answer is they don't vote anyway, so this is a stupid idea. Why are we attaching this? Do you think the average voter outside the Beltway cares? Would say, oh, I'm glad you guys are fighting for that?
No, I think people would be very glad that the government's fighting for that. Also, to be honest, I think most people would say, good, just keep the government shut down. Like we don't need to be paying for them. So that would be my answer.
I like you.
No. We've never won a government shutdown ever once. It's always blamed on us.
I'm not saying what's the right strategy. I'm telling you, the average person, if you say the government's shutting down,
but Marc,
say the government's running. Like
I feel like I'm with you, Marc. Like I feel like, but we always screw up the game. Like we don't play it well, and then we lose because we cave. We don't fight for the right things. I did this show. Like I've got a show tomorrow with Robbie Staba coming up, and Robbie's had these amazing wins getting corporations to cave on DEI stuff, and part of it is because his whole philosophy, which I want to get into tomorrow, is that like. We haven't played well. We haven't played the game well. And I'm like, when are we going to, I mean, I agree with Jessica. At some point, it's like, why are we even having a Republican House if our answer is the Senate's going to suck, so let's just screw it? I mean, that's like a team coming up and going, we're going to lose the game, so why even show up on Sunday? At that point, you have a defeatist mentality. Just lose the game. I get your point. We haven't played well. But then show some friggin' leadership. Stand up and say, the problem I always have is that there's no plan. Will you vote for this? I got asked for money for an organization not too long ago. And I said, what do you need it for? And they said, we're just trying to raise money. And I said, are you kidding? No. Then the answer is no. Come to me with a plan. Tell me that you want to do something like helpful or constructive or effective, whatever, for the cause, and I'm in. But if you just tell me you're raising money to raise money, that's stupid. And I feel like it's like, we need to vote to do this. Well, I think Speaker Johnson needs to construct a plan. Here's what we're for. Here's why we're going to do it. Here's how we're going to win. And here's how we're going to make the Senate capitulate to us. And then you're going to get people saying, yeah, I'm on the team. Let's go. Let's fight. Let's charge the hill. These guys suck at fighting.
Well, I agree. And by the way, I agree we should pass the CR with the SAVE Act and put the ball in the Senate's court. I absolutely agree with that. I do not like the idea of shutting the government down because you know the Senate's not going to do it. Doesn't mean the House shouldn't show leadership. And plan B should be then fine. Take the SAVE Act out. We're cutting all non-defense spending by 7%. I'm making that number up. Whatever the right number is across the board or resetting it to pre-COVID levels. Do something like meaningful for the next 3 months. Get something out of it. Don't, to your point, Sean, we've got to pass the bill to negotiate, but what's plan B?
Well, no, but I think we start off with that salvo. I love to end Thursdays with winners and losers. So let's just start with winners. Jessica, who's your winner for the week?
Okay, we haven't talked about this quite yet today, but I'm going to go out on a limb because your viewers are really smart. My winner of the week is Tim Sheehy. He's running for Senate in Montana. This is a huge pickup opportunity. It's a battleground state. He's running a great race, and they finally just flipped it from toss-up to lean Republican. So the
Cook report, this morning.
This would take out John Tester, who is an entrenched liberal Democrat. He only won by like 17,000 votes last time he was up. And ding, 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 Sean, Trump was not on the ballot last time Tester was up. So this is a huge opportunity for the Senate majority. If you assume West Virginia gets us to even, Tim Sheehy gets us +1, and we're on our way to a partner in the Senate for President Trump.
Okay, I love that. That was the key thing. Remember, we're going to get West Virginia because Joe Manchin's going bye-bye, and this gets us a real majority. All right, Arynne, winner for the week.
Am I allowed to give 2 winners, or does it have to be 1 winner?
You know what? I feel good today. Go for it.
Thank you so much. I'd say the guy who gave his Trump hat to Biden is one winner.
Oh,
And then I'd say the other winners
Can we show that on the screen, please? That was awesome.
And then the other winners, I do want to say, are the American astronauts actually stuck in space right now because they are just far away from this mess. And so I'd say they're also winners.
All right, Marc Lotter, winner.
Elon, they had that great first commercial or spacewalk this morning. Successfully got them out of the spacecraft and back in it, more importantly, too. And so I think he was a big winner with SpaceX.
Oh, good. All right. I actually think debates were the big winner, right? You see the number of people that tuned in. And what I mean by that is I think there was this sense that no one wanted to watch them. And I love politics. And so I love the idea that this just showed the media that there is an appetite for this. This gets back to this idea that I think it gives Trump strength to negotiate. All right. Let's go around the horn real quick. Jessica, I'll start with you again. Who is your loser of the week?
I mean, obviously, I know we're all going to say the ABC moderators.
There we go. Yep.
Putting that aside, because I know we all already think that, the surprise loser of the week was John Kirby. I mean, let's talk about his
White House National Security Strategic Spokesman.
White House National Security Advisor.
/ co-press secretary.
He's like the token boy and, frankly, the adult in the room most of the time in the Biden administration. And I thought the way he handled himself behind the scenes on this leaked email on the anniversary of 9/11, disregarding our American veterans and our soldiers, was completely below the line. So far, below the line, he can't even see the line. So I did not like that. I think he's the loser of the week, John Kirby.
Okay. Wow. That was very, very well thought out. Arynne, who's yours?
This is also kind of an obvious one and a little bit from last week, but any domesticated pet in the state of Ohio.
That's strong. Marc Lotter.
Kamala. Not only did Bernie say the quiet part out loud, that she actually is a progressive, wink, wink, nod, nod. She just has to lie to get elected. And come on, Joe Biden putting on the Trump hat. Way to walk all over her so-called victory lap. I mean, that's just political malpractice.
I just figure if you're going to crib all of Trump's policies, you guys might as well wear a MAGA hat or a Trump hat in Biden's case. All right. I had it written down. I was going with ABC. I knew it. I was falling into the obvious. Anyway, guys, great panel. Thanks for being with us. Tomorrow, as I said just a minute ago, Robbie Staubach's here. He's had tremendous success getting major corporations, Ford, Coors, Tractor Supply Company, to end DEI policies. And he shows us how to effectively fight and win. And I want to break that down with you tomorrow. Plus, next week, the next edition of Road to 270. It's coming your way. Glenn Beck's going to be here. Trish Regan. It's going to be huge. Just make sure you're hitting that subscribe and notification button now. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Sean Spicer Show. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.